It's me, it's Michael B. And tonight in this episode, we're going to be talking about some deals, some discounts on some Arcade1Up cabinets that are crazier than you've ever seen. Here we are, chill and chat with Michael B. So that's right, guys. Today in this episode with Chill and Chat with Michael B, we're going to be talking about how you can save a ton of money because Best Buy has got some extreme deals going on. But before we get into that, I want to say hello to those in the chat. Kongs or Russ, what is going on? Adam, hey, what's up? Tyler, what is going on? And we got Seth in here, MG, Dan Z, Seth. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for coming to the Chill and Chat with Michael B. And so let's talk about these deals, guys. Have you seen this? Now, these are not available in my area in Canada because everything in Canada is super expensive. Now, everything you're seeing on the screen here, I do own, but I paid not only full price, I paid the Canadian price, right? So $6.99, no, I paid even more than that. Michael B has to pay that really high amount. But you, those of you in the United States have a special deal. Now, if you go to Best Buy right now, you will probably not see a $2.99. Does anyone knows in the chat know how to save all that extra money? To save that extra money, we're going to tell you that in just a second. We're going to bring in my good buddy, B Kong. How's it going, B Kong?
What's going on, Michael B? Man, you're looking good, brother.
I know. Yeah. I've been working out, you know, and I really appreciate that. Me and Laura, we've been we've been working out, and you know, I've been sick lately, but being sick kind of helps sometimes.
That's
right?
what poutine will do to you when you eat it 24/7 and you look for the best burgers every single time. Man, transformation can happen. Things can change, everybody. You can be just like Michael B on a Friday night hanging out. It wouldn't be Friday night without seeing you on YouTube, my man.
That's right. So do you know about these Best Buy deals that are going on, man?
They're pretty hot, but I heard you have to have some special access, or no?
Dude, it's not like that. Michael B, was I hacked again? So here's the thing. This is the trick. If you just simply log in to Best Buy, you just log in. That's all you got to do. And all of a sudden you get the early access to the Black Friday deals.
The special deals. And this is the thing. It's not Black Friday because it's a week earlier than Black Friday. What do you call this? Do you just call it Black November these days? Like,
dude, have you seen the commercial from Walmart that's like Office Space?
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about like someone's got the case of the Mondays, and the entire thing is to show that like Black Friday is now on Monday. How can you have Black Friday on Monday?
Yeah. Oh man, the whole Black Friday thing has gone through such evolution. Like from the times where you really had to wait at 2 a.m. in front of Best Buy to get this $2.99 deal. No, they want this out of their house. Or out of their warehouse. They want to liquidate this early. So it does make me think, when you see these deals early before Black Friday, is this going to continue for the whole week? Or do you think this is just a flash in the pan?
I don't know. Like maybe this really is an early Black Friday deal. And then if they sell out, they sell out. But then, you know, Black Friday will happen and it'll still have the deal. They'll open it up to everyone on the website. Like if you just simply learn to log in, you get the deal. Now, let me break character for a second. I'm going to tell everyone what's really going on. So Michael B said he was going to go live, but that was like an hour ago. So we decided to crash his stream. He is actually connected. Right when we went live, he did show up he's in his own green room right now. I have a feeling he's going to be really pissed, and I feel really bad. I thought it would be a funny joke. So this is what I need you guys to do. Like, stick around, share this live stream with the community, because I think Michael B's about to hate me hardcore. And this may be the only chance you get to watch this stream, to be fair.
Cut it now. Was it a good idea? No.
It felt good in the moment, right? But like I looked down there and he kind of looked upset. Like, you guys just made a live stream without me. I think it's funny, right? No?
This is what happens when friends have access to friends' thing. It's almost like when you give your key to a friend and they just happen to host a party at your house. And this is all it is. This is just that impromptu Friday night party in Michael B's house.
I mean, we both met Michael B in person.
You?
Okay, those in the chat, let's do a vote. Is Michael, like, seriously, this is no gag. Michael's not in on this joke. Is Mike going to join the stream and be pissed? Or is Michael B going to join the stream? And here, I'll show you, like, I probably shouldn't go that far. Like, he's there, right? But he's not there. I was about to be like, I just...
Wait, he was there and then left?
No, he was there earlier. He was there.
Okay. And then he left. So
And then he left. So he might be like, screw these guys. You know, this guy's worse than nostalgia. Okay, those in the chat.
Well, he
if you
did
think
try to get into your room multiple times, so I think
I
you have a
know,
shared
right?
connection where he's just as curious about going into your room as you are about hosting a party in his house.
That's right.
There's a mutual respect that comes when you share a bed together for a certain amount of time. So I think it's okay. But y'all let us know in the chat. Should we be here? Should we?
Yeah, those in the chat, let's
I was never here. This was all Console Kid's idea.
right. I don't have full access to YouTube, so I can't like delete the stream. But here's a couple things that I've while we figure out if Michael B is going to join or not, or is he texting me on the side saying I'm going to kill you? Okay, so here's some interesting things that happened this week. I don't know you know about it. Have you seen this official trailer from Netflix, the Sonic Prime? Anything? Did it hit your radar?
That I haven't seen. I've just seen the new Sonic game that was out.
Yeah,
but
those in the chat, let me know if this has hit
Netflix.
your radar or not. I'm going to pause. I'm probably going to get I don't want to get a copyright strike on.
It's okay. There's no audio. I don't hear any audio, so it's all good.
Yeah, so it was. This is a new Sonic cartoon that's coming to Netflix, and it kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't hear anything about it prior to this, but it actually looks really cool.
Yeah, I like the old classic Sonic cartoons.
Yeah.
There's some of them that always look a little bit funky in terms of animation wise, but it's not looking too bad. It's kind of like a continuation of almost like the game in terms of the animation style. It's practically good.
Yeah, and I kind of recognize the voices. I don't know who's doing the voice. That's what I want to learn. You know, about this other one. So that's interesting. Another thing, there's two other topics that we're going to run through real quick. I think Michael B is getting ready, and I'm sure he's got some amazing stuff. So Retro RGB, good friend of mine, and he put this article together. I'm really excited about it. I thought those in this community would also be interested. There's a new Kickstarter for a 19-inch monitor that's coming out, and this 19-inch monitor is it's $320, but it looks like an old school CRT, and so an old school like computer monitor. So it's got a little bit of depth to it.
Nice.
It shows it playing like a Mister and whatnot. Now, it looks, if you look at the spec, it is a 19-inch 5x4. And it kind of looks like maybe, you know, similar to like whatever's going to be in the new Pro cabinet. You know, it's like maybe it's a BOE under the hood. But on the back, it shows what it's got available. It's got HDMI. It's got component. Hey, Mike. How's it going, Mike?
What's going on, guys?
Good morning, good sir. How are you?
Still sick.
Let's fix that a little bit. I
was working on a thumbnail. I was trying to get a show up, and then I go into StreamYard to set it up, and lo and behold, people are already streaming.
Yeah, man. Like, I love you.
It was his idea.
Sons of bitches.
Let's talk about the iiRcade. So they just came out with a new game, right? What do you think? Moon Patrol.
Moon Patrol is a cool title. That's something that I don't think any of the other home arcade companies are going to jump on. It's one of those ones people talk about all the time. Completely caught me off guard. Like when I saw they were doing Ninja Baseball Batman, I was like, oh, cool, they have a relationship with IRAM, but like it never dawned on me that they could go out and get something else like this. They're also bringing in Vigilante. Today was a good day of announcements for iArcade. I'm going to be picking up Moon Patrol, $7.99. It's priced right. I'm excited to see if I can beat Kong on the global leaderboards.
I know he's already number 1, huh?
Yeah, I
I
know.
don't know what's going on with that global leaderboards, but I have on chat right now, or on the share screen, how they announced it. Did you guys see the announcement for game days and how they did it?
No, I didn't see it. I've
right,
been
so-
out of it all day, pretty much.
Yeah, pull it up. So this was how they announced it. So about 59 minutes into the stream, as they normally do, one more time. And then they showed this video and see if you recognize this.
They're wild about it on Tolinus, even on Motus, where they don't like anything at all. They eat it up. It's Atari's Moon Patrol, the action-packed video game. Race your moon buggy over enormous craters, blast attacking saucers, and zap moon rocks. But you'd better watch out.
But wait,
Play Moon Patrol. It's more fun than a barrel of drug mix.
okay. So they did the Atari version, but it's the actual arcade version.
Okay,
So in case you were,
Had me scared there
you
for a
were-
second. I was like, "What?"
I should have let you speculate for a little bit, but no, they went a little bit further and were showing actual gameplay from the real arcade version of Moon Patrol. So there it is. It's released. I downloaded it and played it for a little bit for the first time ever. I feel like this is an iconic game that I just missed playing in the arcades because it just was not in any of the arcades that I grew up playing in. So
Yeah.
I know the title, but I've just never had the opportunity to play it. So it's a fun little game. How does this rank in terms of your like all-time games?
I don't know.
might
All right,
Yeah.
everybody.
Whoa, let's get that off there.
Get it off. Go ahead. Is this like on your top of arcade game list?
I don't know if I would put it right up to the tippy top,
Mhm.
but this is a goddamn really good game, iconic game. They got a good one here.
It's
I'm
top
happy with it.
100. I
Yeah.
looked at some list for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
hmm
Yeah, I played this game a ton, but I'm pretty sure it was the NES version that I played.
hmm
I don't know why they because I remember playing this a ton. They must have had it on the NES, right?
I've owned a lot of NES games, and I'm pretty confident in saying that this was not on the NES.
Atari was what
It
they
was
were
on-
saying.
maybe
There's a lot
it's
of
the Atari,
Atari
'cause-
versions.
Because we had an Atari, but it was before I was 5, and I remember playing no games on that Atari. But maybe it was Atari.
Maybe I don't even think it was one of the Atari releases.
Oh wait,
It's not a Michael B stream without
No,
his
I
clickety
remember.
clackety keyboard.
Clickety clickety clack.
I think they had this. I think they had this at the hospital I went to when I was really young. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, that and
We get-
Zaxxon. Go ahead.
We got a $1.99 super chat from Console Fanboy. Michael, would you call Moon Patrol AAA? Curious. That's a tough one, Zohar. I mean, it's in the top 100 games of all time. You look at the definition of AAA, and the definition for a AAA release is wacky. Like me, I'm like, this is, AAA is a console seller. Do I think Moon Patrol is a console seller? No, I'm not going to say it's a console seller. I don't think someone's going to go out and fork out $7.99 for an iArcade so they can play Moon Patrol. But at the same time, if you look at the definition itself, it's a medium to large size publisher that releases a game is AAA. That's the actual definition. So it's so weird because IRAM is certainly a medium to large size publisher. So technically it's AAA, but I don't think it's a system seller. It's still a really friggin' cool game.
That's the most politically correct answer if I've ever seen one myself. That was very well put, Michael B. Very
I got
well put.
a
Try
question
my
for you,
best.
Mike.
Mhm.
Tell me what you think of this. So Zohar had a really good theory. I read it on. He said, so Best Buy, if you log in, it'll give you this price.
Yep.
For Ridge Racer, $299. He thinks that the reason why they're liquidating it at this price, $299, it's a Namco product. Time Crisis is coming. You only have one publisher at a time. It's like liquidate this, boom, Time Crisis, Namco is their next big cabinet that they'll market and push. The push for this market, for marketing for this cab is over. Liquidate. What do you think of the theory?
maybe. I think this more leans on the fact that they've had not Time Crisis. They've had Ridge Racer and T2 since last year. I think they came out around last January, so they got a lot of stock.
Mhm.
They've already tried selling it at $3.99 several times. So they're just like, screw it. We've already tried $3.99. So let's move to $2.99 for Black Friday because we've already sold everything we're going to sell at $3.99. Let's put it down again.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
about
have
the
to
title
admit-
thing though, about the publisher side of things, because the other one that's $2.99 is Midway, right, for T2, and so like that wouldn't hold up in terms
That's
of that
true.
theory of what's the next cab after that come in. Mortal Kombat Pro, obviously.
Well, maybe.
Mhm.
Then is that hold true? Is that a Konami cab coming?
Oh, Konami X-Men Pro is totally coming, or TMNT Pro. That's the one, right? TMNT XL.
XL. You'll get an. I think we are going to get a TMNT XL sooner rather than later. I'm hoping next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have to admit, I had this whole thought of no more Arcade1Ups. They don't have online for NFL Blitz. They don't have online for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Ignore the fact that those are not cabs that I'm buying anyway, but I'm going to stick it to them because I'm not going to buy any more cabinets until they fix the online. Oh, wow. Ridge Racer, $2.99. Yeah, I bought that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did
Ridge
you?
Racer's a great cab too. You'll really
Oh
like it.
man,
I
I
was
bought it when it
like-
was at the $3.99 price point, and so now I'm like, ugh.
So
Yeah.
$2.99, it's like, I don't know. I wasn't going to do it. And then I just started thinking, like, I can hack this. I know I can. I'm going to sideload other games on it. $2.99, like, is a really good price for that physical structure. And this is literally what I was thinking. Daytona's coming. Will I buy Daytona? Maybe. But maybe Daytona, I don't think Daytona's coming for a while. And then I have time
Daytona's
off next
not
week.
Coming. You fool.
You fool.
Daytona's coming. Fast and the Furious is coming.
Well, I'm not getting Fast and the Furious.
No. None of us are going to get Fast and the Furious. They
I
can't.
might
They
get
can't.
Fast and the Furious. That's a cool game. You don't like Vin Diesel, dude?
What?
You
Listen,
don't like?
B. We're family, but I'm not getting that game.
Fam is family. We live a quarter mile at a time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I went
like-
through the list and I was like, it's BOE. Okay, probably the controls aren't going to
It's a
feel
good
super
cab.
tight.
It's a great.
Is it?
I've played it in terms of the quality of it as an upgrade from Outrun. Like, right, everything about the cabinet, from the build quality and control. There's very little things that are wrong with it in its current state. From my opinion, it's actually a pretty good cab. But so
Yeah.
let me ask you this: since it just got to $2.99 and you follow price points, when the first news of those cabs being put at $3.99, it was $3.99 across all retailers. Like the first one that showed up was Amazon, some weird link, and then every single one. So does that mean all retailers will move to this $2.99, or is this Best Buy exclusive for now?
It's kind of a secret price, right?
Mhm.
And so maybe other retailers will follow, but
Mhm.
Best Buy is jumping the gun kind of secretly, backdoor, because I think they do that from time to time.
Just to get ahead of the edge of the.
You got to log in to get the price, so they're like,
Mhm.
we're just going to do
Oh,
it.
it's one of those must click here to see price in cart versus like
they
having
don't-
it publicly.
They don't even show that. You have
Yeah.
to know to log in. Like the
Mm.
only way I learned about it was I saw it on Facebook group. That was my first. I was like, oh, you log in. I was like,
Mhm.
really? I thought you got to do the total tech, and I don't do the total tech. I don't pay the
Mhm, mhm,
subscription thing. And then someone was like, no, all you got to do is log in. I was like, okay. I was like, $3.99. It's worth $3.99, but I want a deal. So $2.99. It's like, oh, it's worth $3.99, but it is a deal. No, I'm gonna hold myself. I'm not gonna do it. Then I saw Fox did it. He posted a community post that he bought both T2 and Ridge Racer.
Oh.
That gave me a little FOMO, but I controlled it. And
The
then I
public
started-
price is 500, so it's like it's even more than what the public, like if you just googled it. I see. That's a good deal. It's a good deal.
So,
So-
I kept on thinking about it. I was like, $2.99. I mean, that's the original price of the original cabs back in the day. This has a
Before
riser.
they
It's
even
got
came with risers or light up marquees.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry to cut you off. Not really. But Tyler V has got a super chat here, $1.99. I just grabbed T2 at $2.99. Should I also get Ridge Racer? Ridge Racer is a hell of a cab, man. Like, honestly, in terms of stand-up, it's got that very slight but still haptic feedback for the driving. Like, you know what I'm talking about with the
Oh,
wheel.
the
What's it
vibrator.
called?
You love the vibrator.
The vibrator. So they got a dollar store vibrator and put it in the wheel. But honestly,
It's like
it does
N64 Rumble Pack.
Yeah, it does provide a little bit of resistance only on Ace Driver and Ace Driver 2. I don't know if it does it on Rave Racer. I actually don't play Rave Racer a lot. I find that one kind of weird to play. Love Ace Driver 1 and 2. Love Ridge Racer 1 and 2. I'm a big fan of the Ridge Racer cab, probably one of the best cabs I think they've released. Surprisingly, because I shit all over it when it was announced, but big fan. Tyler V, $2.99. You'd be crazy not to if you're a fan of Arcade1Up and you want a cool driving cab.
Yeah, that Namco System 22 hardware too. Like it's the graphics are really good for the games that are on there. You'll feel like you're playing Daytona-ish graphics on like a different, platform that was there. So it's very, very, very close to it. It's gonna be like that low budget version of Daytona, but and just to kind of clarify, the feedback is not force feedback, so it's still like a spring that puts you back to center. It's just vibrating, so you're not gonna feel like that tug in the arcade of like you moving back to center because of the wheel being set there. So set that expectation lower, and then it's a good cabinet.
Yeah, I find it funny that you said it's Daytona-ish because it reminds me so much of like we've been making fun a little bit of the iArcade lately because of the games they bring out. Because last one was Heated Barrel. It's a game like Sunset Riders.
Yeah.
So Ridge Racer's a game like Daytona. If you want that Daytona-ish experience, get yourself some Ridge Racer.
Yeah, it's definitely not a cab that I would like. I mean, I did not buy it at full price. It did not pull me at that full price. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Daytona would. I was talking to buddies at work, and we were talking about pinball for a while, and then it got into arcade. And this one guy was like, you know what game I remember playing? And he said Sunset Riders. And he said Daytona. And in my head, I was like, yeah, those are AAA. Those are bangers. Those are ones that were just great in the arcade.
Both of those games are full-on sausages for sure. So I got a $4.99 super chat here from Console Fanboy. Michael, I'm looking forward to your next stream. Should I get Fast and the Furious? I do streams like that because I get really bad FOMO. I'm going to tell you openly, I've been very against picking up Blitz and against picking up Yoga Flame for the past since they've been announced, because I don't like the makeshift create your own art that they put on the cabinets. I hate that they didn't recreate the original arcades. So I told myself I wasn't going to get them. And I've been testing my will so hard this past couple days since the Black Friday sales. I learned about them here in Canada because Yoga Flame's on for $4.99, which I don't know what the like American equivalent it is, but I think it's down around $2.99 for Yoga Flame. And then Blitz is on sale for $5.99 Canadian, which works out to $4.49 US. So, I mean, those are some serious discounts on some pretty new cabinets. They've got great games lists. Blitz isn't online, and, we should all storm Arcade1Up shores and bomb them for that. But, it's still a new cab that I had fun playing when I played with you guys live. But it really tested my willpower, and I've been able to stay off so far and not buy either one. So, and I don't think I'm going to either. I think I'm good right now.
But you know what Fast and Furious is like, though? If you want to throw it up on stream, it's kind of like Cruising USA in terms of the graphics and the feel of it. So if you want Cruising, this could be as close as you get to get Cruising. And that's a real Supra right there. That's this orange Supra from the movie. It looks pretty badass, dude. Come on.
Kong's trying to sell us.
I'm just saying that, like, if you think Ridge Racer was okay as kind of Daytona, I think it was Ralph when I watched his top 10 video who was saying that Fast and Furious is kind of like the
but
like
you and Ralph are in cahoots with Arcade1Up. You always have cahoots.
So
you're trying to bamboozle us here now.
I don't know. I think you'll make a video just like Console Fanboy is saying, once you see the gameplay, once you see what the cap looks like, you could be sold.
I think this is a fun topic. What B just introduced is trying to get us, the other people on the show, to get into what he's interested in, and I want to do the same to B. So
Okay.
you're trying to force us to spend money. You're
I'm
planting
not.
the
I'm just
early
saying Fast and
seed.
Furious is an amazing franchise. I mean, that's a Toyota Supra that was every little boy's dream car. Well, I like the
No,
Eclipse.
we talked about this, B. We talked about this while you were on stream. There's two types of people in the world. People that saw Fast and the Furious in theaters and then went out and got light kits for their Toyota Civic, whatever they Honda Civic.
Toyota
whatever
Civic?
They had. They went out and got light kits and lived that lifestyle. And then there's people like me that saw it and said, good movie. I'm going to continue living my life, and never did anything else different.
You never lived your life a quarter mile at a time, did you?
No,
You never
I
pulled
never
up to
did.
somebody who rolled down your window, gave them a nod, and like took off at the light? Come on. You never did that once in 2001? That didn't happen?
No, I actually went on a date, and when I got home, the girl was like, that movie was so amazing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I am never seeing you again.
Okay, well, let me show you my underglow under the hood so I can show you what's going on. All
I'm going to sell B on something, all right? I'm going to get you to spend hundreds of dollars in 30 seconds. You ready?
right.
Okay. So there is a new gun compatibility on the Mister. You need to go buy a Mister. You need to go get a GunCon 3. So the GunCon 3 is this is Retro RGB's article website. It says the GunCon 3 was a gun peripheral made for the PS3 and developed by Namco, right? And it's more accurate than the Wiimote. And it look at this fun little project. You get some little
Are those
IR
LEDs?
LEDs, right?
Yeah.
And then you connect it. And now the way they have it set up on the Mister, it works by placing two IR emitters at the top of your television for the gun, help track the position. And it, where does it say? You can find the GunCon 3 and it's on its own much cheaper. Somewhere in here it says, like, they have it set up at a very low level, so the compatibility for using this as a peripheral across Mister is very high. I can't remember where I read that. Somewhere in here. But boom, go spend money.
There you go.
I know you love guns.
I'm curious about the accuracy of just two sensors on top of a screen, though. That's very similar to the AE light gun, the Arcade1Up one that just uses the two sensors, kind of like aim tracks or Wiimotes. It's not going to be as accurate as a Sindin or a Gun for IR just by looking at the technology. So I'm looking at it. Sell me harder, but I might be curious.
Fair. But wouldn't you like to buy a Namco gun and then connect it to something modern?
That's true.
And
yeah,
that could be played across a slew of arcade ROMs?
Do you guys both have Misters?
No, I don't have a Mister yet.
Yeah, so I think the Mister project in general is also like very deep. I think I've seen some of your streams on like what you need to do to like get Mister set up, and like I tried watching videos on what you need to do. I'm not quite there yet. So once I dive into Mister, this sounds like
you know how to use a USB and SD card and slap a couple files on it.
4 layers of stuff, and then like
that's how it works. Not to set it up. To set it up is like you throw some files on an SD card and then it auto updates itself.
No, you gotta get cores. There's all kinds to it. Being a Mister guy is a lot like being an orgy guy. You really gotta get committed. You gotta grow the mustache.
No. Half the stuff is on GitHub and the script auto updates itself. And then you throw some ROMs on there.
Well, anyways, get into Mister. I'll get into Mister.
How did we get off? How did we get off Fast and the Furious? Why did we leave that? There's so much content there.
All right,
let's talk about stuff.
All right, so did I sell you on? It's sort of like cruising.
No, listen. This might be the funnest game in the entire world. I will say this a million times. If I ran a home arcade company and I'm sitting around a board table and people are saying we need to release racing games, I'm looking at people because I know arcades and I'm like, okay, we should probably get Daytona, we should probably do Cruisin', and we should probably do Rush. Those are the 3 big franchises in the racing segment. Now, when they did Outrun first, I understood. That made sense. But the fact that we hit Ridge Racer, where everybody was kind of scratching their head and they were like, I remember that more from the PlayStation than I do arcade. It's really cool, and I'm happy I got the cab. But still, it made me scratch my head. I get it. I know that it's emulation related. It's just, it's weird how they haven't realized that's their moneymaker. Rush, Cruisin', Daytona. Those are the three big ones. And I don't even understand why you would even
Yeah.
look at anything else until you go there.
But don't you think those three titles for arcade purists, yes, but as a larger franchise, Fast and Furious has way more attractive people that know that brand compared to those other titles that you mentioned.
Are people really that aren't really into arcades or interested in arcades going to see Fast and Furious and be like, man, I am going to throw down $700 for that? Because I watched that movie back in the day and then updated my Honda Civic with underlighting.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know how many people they're still making like Fast and Furious like 25 right now? Like
I
if they
know,
release
I
it
know.
next year, there's millions and millions of people that are watching that and then saying, what, I can like be one of the drivers in Vin Diesel's car or whatever, or the Rock's car.
So
Like,
can I drive my car in outer space?
no.
Well, this is not accurate to the last movie. This is bullshit.
I got you. I got you. But I do agree those are the marquee arcade purist titles that you're gonna want. But then are like all the racing fans for like Daytona and stock cars gonna want to go
Yeah.
buy Daytona afterwards? Like you're still gonna get an arcade demographic versus like the masses, and like they're really looking to get to that next level to the masses, which is why they're doing this.
Yeah, I know. It's frustrating to me because I don't understand this company sometimes. I'm like, what are they doing? Are they recreating arcade cabinets?
Mhm.
Or are they trying to develop themselves as a brand? And I don't care if they're trying to develop themselves as a brand. I'm all for it. Make tons of money as long as you still do weird, wonderful, and wacky shit recreating classic arcade companies. But the more the purest stuff for people that probably aren't going to be able to find these cabinets on their own. But the more they move into this mainstream stuff where they're like, we really got to update the side of Blitz because it doesn't look good. Put Brett Favre on the side. I'm sure he won't do anything illegal in the next couple of months. So, stuff like that.
That you never know. You never know with these people.
Here's what I'm thinking about. Let me think about it this way. So I think in the next 5 years, there's slots. Okay. So
slots. Literally casino-cades. Slots.
No, I mean, imagine there's 100 slots. 100 slots. Okay. There's 50 slots. There's 30 slots, right? And you're like, when can we do Daytona? And the answer is, imagine your Arcade1Up and you have all the brands that are together. It's license team over here. It's the R&D team over here. Doesn't really exist. There's never a meeting where they all get together. Totally, right? But let's use our imagination. And they're like, cool, we should totally do Daytona. When is that? They're like, that's 2025. Cool. When? What race car machine arcade can we do in the next 3 months? They're like, Ridge Racer. Like, ship it. And so that's what I think is happening is they know what will sell. They just it's slotted for later because they've done the math and they're like, this is how expensive it would be to do it today. We'll make no money, but tomorrow we can do it cheaper. That slot down the line, the license is cheaper, the hardware is cheaper. By then we'll have the development crew come up with a solution that can emulate it better. But right now we can do Ridge Racer. So they did it.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for that next level cabinet where the thing with the racer. You see what I did there?
You said it. He said the show.
The linked cabinet, right? If you're gonna do a Daytona and not have it be able to do multiplayer somehow with another linked cabinet, I think the online would be really shitty if it did it. But a linked cabinet where you could do up to 4 would be amazing if they could do it.
But I think I've said this before, right? I think that what the hell? I'm looking in the chat and I see it. It's confusing there for a second, and never mind. What was I trying to say? We're talking about the linked cabinets. They already have it, right? Like, so they do linked cabinets today. So Turtles, go buy 4 Turtles machines that are online, the Turtles in Time machine, and link them, and all 4 accounts just play together. And since it's peer-to-peer, all 4 of those will talk to the server, and then they'll connect to each other shortest route. during a network's, when it talks to the server, it's like, how can I communicate? At best, it's going to give you the same IP address for all of those different ports, and then just go out to the router and come back in. It's going to be basically an intranet linked
Yeah.
cabinet.
Yeah.
And so Daytona is like, they don't have to change a thing, I don't think. Maybe the developer does a slide optimization that's all like, hey, are they on this literal network? Can I use like a LAN IP? Or, like a local
Yeah, there's a
internet
way
IP?
when I did my linked PC cabinets for running Daytona where you have to go into the test menu or the setup menu to change the cabinet ID to link
Mhm.
it in order for it to run as a single cabinet or a linked cabinet. So if they're sticking true to arcade hardware, they would have to be like, either an easy mode to do that where they like change it from this is now a single cabinet or now this is a linked cabinet because it's going to look for that other cabinet before they sync up and link up. So it's not going to be 100% authentic the way that you would do it on a real machine, but it's doing exactly what you said. You just use a modem to like hard connect two things together, get the IPs like you mentioned separate, and then set the ports and things together. So it's doable. It's doable.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'll throw this out there. Do you think Arcade1Up will take the risk with something like a Daytona where they're going to have to go into hardware emulation that is brand new to them? It's going to be a new system. And then to offer an online feature with a deadline of when the cabinet is going to be delivered, because that's the way Arcade1Up works, especially after what just happened with Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Blitz. I don't think they'll want to go through the same period again where they're going to risk throwing out a cab saying this is possibly online, but like they're going to be under a gun and a timetable to get everything done emulation wise to get the cabinet out, plus the online features as well. So do you think that will change the dynamic of how Arcade1Up releases cabs in the future, especially for something like Daytona, if they're going to offer some kind of setting like that?
I think so. I think I'll go first, and then Justin, you can chime in. The hardware side of it to get it to run well, like Ridge Racer is running well on its own, and we've already seen slowdown with MVC2 and potentially Blitz running online. So like hardware and more advanced hardware, which it would already kind of tag more system resources, gets me worried about the online play. It's almost like I would rather not have online feature for racing and just do the link play for people that wanted to set up local play only. That's what I would do, just knowing that the system limitation to do online plus the local play plus that it's a little too much. So I would go that option to make sure that you have enough resources to run it well. I think they want things to not feel shitty from an emulation standpoint.
So I think it's Sega, right? So Sega's an interesting one because they hire several companies to build. I think it's like white label or not white label, first party hardware, right? So Sega didn't design the Sega Mini. M2 did the emulation. It's not like Sega internal did it. They did M2, and then I don't know what company did the others, like the Sega Mini, the Astro City. I don't think it's M2, but it's not Sega. It's another company. So Sega's a brand at this point, right? And they make games, that they're a publisher, but they outsource things as well. So I would assume that anything Sega emulation is some company, Digital Eclipse, M2, Other Ocean, one of those companies, and they have a completely different agenda. They're like, we're going to recreate that emulation so it'll run on the Switch, so it'll run on Xbox, and then we're going to become the integrator for the Sega as a publisher, and we're going to bring some of those games to consoles. We're going to bring some of those games to, a variety of platforms. One of them can be an Android-based platform, including Arcade1Up. And so if there's already a good public emulation for something that can run Daytona, Arcade1Up is just going to leverage that company and license that emulation for their platform, which will probably include online, net play, but it's an integration that will run on consoles and integration. And maybe Arcade1Up bought an exclusive to some of these companies previously to be like, because their biggest competition, I think, is these same titles showing up on the Switch. I think if these games showed up on the Switch, their sales would be a little bit different. because people would be like, okay, I could spend $20 on the Switch, or I could buy the Arcade1Up. There's going to be at least a hit from some customers.
Yeah, I think
Not
there'll
everybody, but some customers.
I think you're right there. I've never understood it because I don't think they're the same consumers. Like somebody that's going to, nostalgia something like, steal a ROM and play it on an ALU. I mean, that's a different consumer than somebody who's going to lay down a chunk of change to play the more nostalgic experience of playing something on a remade arcade cabinet of that classic game. So I don't know if that really, just because I can play something on a multicade that, I pirated the ROM on, doesn't mean I'm not going to buy an Arcade1Up cabinet. But not everybody thinks that way. So I get that understanding. But I mean, like, there's a difference between playing something on the Switch and playing something on like a driving arcade where you also have an online feature. I don't know if it's exactly that easy to say, well, I could just play this on Switch compared to, man, I've always wanted to have a Daytona cabinet in my house. This is so friggin' cool.
Yeah, there's definitely that other side where it doesn't matter how accessible that game is. People are still going to want the arcade version of it, especially as this home arcade community has grown.
Can we just be clear? Nostalgia's a piece of shit. I need to say that at least two times a show. So are we clear on that? He is the kind of person that would just emulate it on something and be like the same thing.
So
like
I
no
don't know
tact.
I don't know if you're following the chat, but C Marvel was saying there's an actual patch that was released with patch notes on the Marvel vs. Capcom cabinets. I haven't turned on my cabinet in a while.
I don't believe that. Arcade1Up communicating?
Yeah, look, it says they booted it up and they shouted out Rob2D, aka the code always wins. So it sounds like they're working with somebody that's been kind of behind the scenes knowing
that's good.
how to do lag input fix. So if that's true,
boot it up, man.
I gotta go boot. Well, it's in another room, but I'll.
So if you boot it up, can you see it on the screen now, or do you have to?
Yeah, I will
connect with your phone right now and walk over there.
Yeah, are you trying to tell me to go turn it on? I'm gonna go turn on my Marvel vs. Capcom 1 cabinet and
no.
You're making me confess, guys. Oh, you're always doing this, Michael B.
What do you mean?
Nothing. I just
something.
What? What do I
I
know?
know everything.
Are you in the beta program?
No, I just like breaking my shit and then like embarrassingly not telling people about it.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, these guys are trying to tell me that I broke my Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, but I can't turn on my cab because I broke it. But I can turn on my Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Yeah.
Hey, C Marvel, take a picture of it and then tweet it.
Yeah,
and
send
we'll
it out
pull it
to
up.
us.
Yeah, that's exactly.
If you still
what we've
use
been
Twitter, can we
asking
talk
for.
about Twitter for a second?
Yeah, let's do that. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So
Nice.
I'll throw this out there. I was hacked recently. So I lost my Facebook page with, 16 years of my life on it. On top of that, I also lost my Facebook fan page for my YouTube channel, had like 2,000 followers. I lost my Instagram that had like 2,000 followers. And now, if Twitter dies, like that's the last like social media I had attached to my
You still have
YouTube channel
OnlyFans?
since I started it. No, my OnlyFans is completely towards my RedTube channel, so it's not the same thing. You can find me on Tube Galore now. Even Nostalgia told me all about Tube Galore. Apparently, that's the site to end all sites. One site to end them all.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a screenshot. Here it is. Thank you so much, Steve Marvel. That is so nice of you to take that time, send that picture in. Here it is. This update improves input lag for games that you can play across Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and X-Men vs. Street Fighter cabinets. Fighter droids patch, if installed, will be disabled automatically.
Fighter droids patch. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah.
They went that far?
That's the team encoder patch that I did. So I did the team encoder patch. So they're aware of team encoders patches for people doing third-party patching. So it's deleting that, and now everybody's rolling onto Rob2D's input lag fix, which he's always said is the better version of it. That's pretty cool. I don't know.
That's pretty cool. So they worked with, it says credits for code support. The code always wins.
And gave him credit. That's fucking amazing. I'm sorry. It's freaking amazing.
No.
Cool.
You, this is an unscheduled stream that I didn't even agree to. So you can throw up your F-bombs, gang signs, whatever you want.
Okay, so it still is. This is what they did say before, right? This online for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is not out yet. This is that intermediate patch, right? That's like first we improve the lag. And then, so you should be able to plug in, because this update is for Marvel vs. Capcom 1 as well.
It should be all the games that are on the cabinet, so that are online enabled. So this patch, if I turn on my MVC 1, should have the same patch on it. So it's that same system. But this is exactly what we asked for: actual patch notes to know what it does, actually giving credit to the people that are helping it, which are actually community people, which shows that they're working with people that know what the heck they're doing. Is huge wins. I know like Dakota always wins, and Rob2D doesn't often like publicly state his involvement and how he's helping out with this, but that's really freaking cool that they acknowledge him too for that community. It gives me a slight glimmer of hope that they're moving in a better direction with online updates, to your point, Michael B, right? Like, can they do it? It sounds like they're trying. They're working in a better direction. This is the first time in the history of Arcade1Up we've seen patch notes on the cabinet.
Yeah, communication. It's a wonderful thing, guys. Keep doing it. So another thing, you know the code always wins, right, B?
I do, yeah.
Can you talk to him and see if he can do a patch to put Morgan's boobs back on the marquee? Is that possible?
Yeah, he just use an eraser and go.
So console kits, I don't know if you've seen a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cab in person. That's one of my big areas of frustration with this cabinet, because it comes with a really nice marquee with really good color and light distribution. But for some reason, they modified the images on the marquee itself.
The characters.
The characters. So Morgan's boobs are non-existent. But also, if you look at the characters themselves, the pictures are really grainy and like low res.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell happened. Like I'm just fascinated what happens with this company sometimes. Like Nostalgia drove me nuts about Attack from Mars, because I thought Attack from Mars looked beautiful, but he picked it apart and said, if you look at the actual image really up close, it's a low res image. So I don't know who they have doing the art on these sometimes, but like, I mean, even I know, and I don't know anything. You just can't use low-res images, especially on finished products like this.
I mentioned it on my preview video about how the quality, and then it always gets me thinking, like, is my memory bad? That like, is this how it was in the arcade? And they're trying to make it this way, because I'd said that same thing about Dragon Slayer when I first saw it, and they're like, "Oh no, that's supposed to be grainy."
Yeah.
So then in my head, I'm like, maybe it was supposed to be grainy. I don't remember looking specifically at Morgan's boobs.
buddy?
Speaking of Morgan's boobs, nostalgia, everybody.
I love nostalgia.
It's really good to see you, man. I genuinely mean that.
Yeah, my ears were burning, so I heard my name a couple times and figured I would jump on the stream.
Well, seeing how I sent you an invite like an hour ago.
That was also another indication. I didn't like hijack your live stream like somebody hijacked your Facebook. So
I've been wanting to do this for weeks now. Can I ask Nostalgia a question real quick?
You
go ahead.
So what do you think of what's going on with Twitter, man? It's crazy, right?
I think it's amazing. I think it is so incredible and so entertaining just watching how things are turning. And honestly, I don't care what you think of Elon Musk. It's fucking hilarious. Sorry, Mike. I know you don't do the swearing on your show. It is so incredibly funny to see the legitimate tweets that this guy's posting. It's entertainment.
It's insane. If you've been following it, like when the downfall of Twitter began, or at least allegedly that Twitter was going away, millions of people started making their final tweets. There were so many tweets that were like, if this is my last tweet, whatever. And then Elon Musk himself starts tweeting like memes of Twitter dying.
Yeah.
Which I think, in a way, I think it's like, dude, there's all this attention on Twitter. And I'm on Twitter more. For the first time I started joining podcasts on Twitter, listening, and I was like, this is actually really interesting. Just the topic about Twitter. And the funny part is, in those podcasts, they were talking about how, it's Twitter's going away. And it's like, dude, you guys realize we're on the platform right now talking about it. Maybe it's not going away.
I think it's honestly, it's really funny to think that people think that Twitter, as popular as it is just going to go away. It's not going to just go away. But
it's gonna go away as its source of reputable news, because everybody with the blue check marks can now make sure that they
that is literally the funniest thing that has happened since Twitter takeover has even begun. The fact that Elon was like, hey, if you want to have a blue check mark, $8 a
$8.
month. And then you could just pay $8 a month, change your name and have a blue check mark. It's glorious. The amount of incredible memes that has come out of this is going to last a lifetime.
So really quickly, console fanboy with a 199 super chat, and Nostalgia, I know you hate getting down to business, but we got to do a little bit of serious stuff for a little bit. Is that okay?
You guys had like an hour and 20 minutes of serious stuff. Come on.
Just so he says, I guarantee you they'll never patch MK30 ever. And I think he's wrong. Do you want to know why?
Because you were told that a fix is coming.
No, there's no fix coming. They're not going to fix it. But here's why. And someone asked the same question earlier. Are they ever going to, I hope they do these patches and these updates for Street Fighter too. And I'm like, yes, but only in a very backwards way. And you know what that is? If they have to make it compatible with a new machine they're releasing. I mean, they're not going to spend any money or resources going back to update the online or backdoor for something like that. But say, for example, MK Pro comes out and they want to make it work, but they change some things, maybe add in a spectate mode. They're going to have to go back and update your version so it's still cross-compatible. That's the only way you'll get your update. Same with Street Fighter, everything like that. That's why Marvel vs. Capcom 1 might be getting some kind of updates now.
It did. It got several updates. It got the FBI logo removed. It got this input patch, and it didn't happen until MBC2 was out. So you'd make a good point. But the other point, console fanboy, is that nobody plays MK30 to care. The Kodo Wiz wins and all those coders that actually care about updating stuff, they're not on MK30th, grinding.
So what you're saying is console fanboy could start rallying, instead of saying like, begging Arcade1Up to come out with an MK4, he could be begging the people in the community to patch, to spend the time and patch. You know what's funny? This is no joke here. Those developers, I mean, they're just dudes, right? They're just people. And I bet if there was an incentive, if they were like, raise $100 and I'll spend a weekend trying to patch it, maybe they would do it.
Maybe
make it worth their time.
Maybe they could offer them free cabs.
So
well, I wasn't referring. I was referring to like
till he can get super chats, and then that way, console fanboy can just send him his donations for his time to care about MK30th.
Right. I wasn't referring to paying Arcade1Up. I was the community developers. That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
I don't think $100 will do it for a weekend's worth of work. These guys probably make six figures in their day job. There's no chance that they're going to be like, yeah, for $100, I'll spend my entire weekend fixing code.
No, it's fair. It's fair. Would you do it for 500?
They have to do it for the love of the game. Like, that community is very unique. The MVC community, like, since I've been a part of it, like every night, these guys like truly care about the game enough to do. It's more about that than it is the money if they were going to get money. So you have to find a super fan that's a coder and cares to make the fix. Steven,
but that's the key word, is a super fan, because even somebody who's interested in the community is not going to devote their time to help a commercial company who's profiting off of it.
Yeah,
they would go into the community and help develop playing it. RetroArch 4.
I don't know, man. Like, what was it? That company released that House of the Dead remake, and it was terrible. Like, it didn't work with anything. And then the community was just like, "Nah, we need Sinden support. Let's get on this." Hours later, it just happened.
Yeah, but that's not to support Sinden. That's for the gaming community as a whole.
It's not to support Sinden. It is to support the gaming community as a whole. But in turn, people were like, "Oh shit, son, you can use Sinden now. I'm gonna buy House of the Dead remake."
D-Mod's like, so what do you need fixed on the MK?
D-Mod might be one of the people that is really into fixing stuff, aka mystery something. I forget which version of Human Coder.
I would assume input lag is possible to be fixed.
Wi-Fi connection, not so much.
Yeah, and then spectate, not so much.
No.
Input lag probably seems like the most reasonable thing that they could tackle based off of that list. So
yeah.
Wi-Fi connection could totally be done. It just depends on what kind of Wi-Fi chip they have on the board.
Yeah, I guess it could be optimized, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The spectate, that's an entire, like, I mean, they're licensing features from certain parties, and it's like, to get the spectate mode, you would have to hack the third party or build your own, I guess, build your own spectate. But Yeah.
So I got a question. KI Pro's coming out. Some crazy people have bought some. I don't know what the hell's wrong with them. But like it has an HDMI out. Really, what's the point of having an HDMI out if it doesn't have spectate mode? Do you think there's any chance they may update the actual online component for KI? Or did you think that this is the cheaper alternative to providing a spectate mode is maybe we'll throw in an HDMI out so people will stop bitching about it?
I think if they're going to add spectate mode to KI Pro, they would not announce it because that's making a promise. And that didn't go well with Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or Blitz. So
But-
I think that would be like, we're not going to promise anything.
Yeah.
And here's the interesting thing. People have already bought the cabs and they're sold out, allegedly.
Allegedly.
So do they need to ship spectate mode at this point to sell more cabs, or would it just be out of their generosity and reputation?
Unless
So you're saying
already-
it's not going to happen.
I don't know.
I would think
I've
unless-
heard that there's consideration to add spectate mode to previous cabinets, but also they don't want to make. I've also heard they don't want to make promises for anything.
Yeah, I would imagine that if it's not already in the roadmap, that it is not going to be added to the roadmap. That's my assumption.
The
Also,
question is it already in the roadmap though? So you're still.
That's a good question. Yeah,
That's the
good question.
I think it would be hard to go back to implement it because even the system to spectate, right, is like you would fundamentally have to change like the UI to add spectate to those cabs that don't have it. Because the way the lobby system's set up for those that does have it, you can see who's playing.
Yeah.
All the MKs, the KIs, the NBA Jam. Once you join a room, you disappear off the list, so you can't like find that game to watch it. So something would have to change, which I actually think is any head-to-head game. I love seeing a packed lobby. It gives me the sense that other people are playing it. Turn on my Marvel vs. Capcom, I'm happy to see a page full of people playing. So fundamentally, they'd have to change the UA.
I wonder if it's filled up right now because the patch and everyone wants to play with the input lag.
Friday night, I'm sure it is. You try this year. He's the top 10 player. Like, there's some people in there. It's a popping cab. You should be on it, Michael B. You should work on your uppercuts.
I'm sick and I'm still trying to work on reviews. And I did get down there the other night and I played some online. I think I played Marvel vs. Capcom online for a bit and I got like smoked. So yeah.
I want to highlight this comment. I see a KI Pro collab cab coming soon. You can't go from 114 available to sold out. This is honestly what I've been thinking about recently.
Like a Supreme version collab, like that type of collab.
Yeah, is that how they sold 100? They're like, oh, we'll just make Supreme versions. They're $1,500. It's brilliant because I was sitting there. It's like, how do you sell that so quickly? And the only thought I've had is they liquidated. They sold them to like Shop Hippo or something. But that would be really weird for Shop Hippo all of a sudden to be like, we got the Pro.
No, not necessarily. I had another theory that they had a deal worked out with their, what do you call them, the manufacturer, that they could get down to this number 500 because we had heard before that 3,000 was the magic number of cabs they had to make in order for it to work. So it seems like they got down to 500 for the Pro, but maybe through negotiations as sales were going on, they worked it out that they could hit some kind of break even at 400 instead.
Yep.
So when they got there, they were like, just screw it. We'll just cut it off now. It doesn't look like we're going to sell the last 100 cabs. So we're better off taking the hit on whatever it is to, just produce 400 compared to producing 500 and then trying to sell them.
I think it's a really good theory. Another one I had is very similar to that is they at some point were like, hey, we've sold 400 of them, but we literally only told the manufacturer to make 500. We should hold on to 100 of them for parts.
That's a good theory too. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well,
Well,
I
where
heard
are
that
they gonna
that's
get
what
the
they
parts?
do. The parts are salvaged from full
Yeah.
units.
From full unit, that's so stupid and wasteful.
No, because when they ship, some of them don't come out so well, so they set them aside and be like, "That's just a great
mean,
unit
like
for
the
the unit."
box damage
Something's
or
defective
something?
or damaged or
Yeah, and
Okay.
when they take them out of the container, there's going to be a handful. It's not 100% will make it. There's a handful that come dented, and they're like, "Oh, set that aside. We'll salvage parts for that."
yeah, I guess maybe. I would think that on parts run, like monitor runs, whatever it is that they're doing, they would just order more. Like
They
I
have
can't
separate
imagine.
More
packaging
sense.
for individual
Yeah.
part. Like I've gotten a replacement monitor that it's in its own packaging specifically as an extra part before. So there's some of that. But I can say, man, those shipping containers could take a beating. Like they could fall into the ocean and you can pick them out and they would still work. Like I've seen them actually
You've
still
seen
work.
Like an
that?
outrun cab,
Yeah.
if it was underwater.
They absolutely 100%. All of
So
them still work.
So you're saying that the shipping containers are Stringer Films approved, 100% waterproof.
100%. I don't
you-
know the physics of
You don't
shipping
even need
containers,
rice.
but I was so happy and stoked when we got an ocean outrun to work. That's cool. Parts. Who knew?
I think what Mike, your point about having that HDMI out is almost like a way out for Arcade1Up to put it in spectate mode. Makes sense. The minute that I even saw that they were including an HDMI out, in my mind it went to Arcade1Up is making it easier for people who bought the cab to market that they bought the cab so they can screen capture,
yeah.
or they can do live streams, or they can
100%.
do it. Like that's got to be the purpose. Nobody's plugging that into their 50-inch TV to play KI with the control
Well,
deck
here's
not
the
in front of them. Like that's weird.
here's the catch on now that this is the first HDMI out cab available, like form in cabinet form, right? That is a market that when I've spoken to John, he's always wanted to build out like the retro
Fighting game community. Yeah.
fight game community, right? To do exactly that, self-marketing.
Hold on a second. I haven't seen this. Check it out, dude.
What do
Did
you
it
see?
say this before? HDMI video out for external monitor and streaming.
Yes.
It's always said that and
Yeah.
streaming.
Yeah.
Oh, well then, okay. A theory
I mean,
confirmed.
does that mean spectate, or does that mean I'm gonna?
No. It just means that you can stream. So the idea is right now with the online fighting cabs, people can play them, but people aren't turning around and making YouTube and Twitch content on it. So they realized there was a missing gap there. They weren't marketing themselves. They weren't advertising this online fighting community they're trying to build. So they came out with the HDMI out. Before they had like Rev and other people using like Geek Worms and stuff, using spectate mode to run shows. But instead of that, now they'll just do HDMI out. And then there's a hope people like Justin Wong will be like, hey, I bought this cab and now I'm streaming it and everybody should go buy it.
And you can
think
fight
they'll-
me.
Well, I was going to ask if it's an HDMI switch or if it's an HDMI splitter in there. That would clearly indicate it's an HDMI splitter.
Splitter, yeah.
Yeah. So,
What would be the difference? Wouldn't it just be like,
no, a switch would be like either or. So it'll either display on the native
Oh, I see,
monitor
I see.
or plug in an HDMI. It switches to the signal to only go through the HDMI cable.
So do you guys want me to be really super critical of the iArcade for a second? Anybody here want me to jump down the back of the iArcade? Anybody?
Yeah,
Moon
do it.
Patrol?
Go
Let's
ahead.
just restart the
We
show.
need to
No,
hear
no.
ones in the chat from people that want you to hate on our iArcade for a moment.
So I am a little mad that I upgraded to the gold edition of the iArcade because they're having a massive bug issue right now with their HDMI out on the gold edition. And I used to do a bunch of streaming from my iArcade itself because it came out perfectly. Like it would actually show the game in 4:3 ratio. The problem they're having now is there's some kind of massive chip error internally that they can't fix. So it actually comes out in this like super weird output format. I had to go buy just to do my Once Upon a Time in Halloween. I had to go buy a different
Capture card?
I've had the same capture card since 2010 or 2011. I had to go buy a new capture card and change the format. And then I get this video and then I have to compress it down to 4:3 to actually get it to look normal. But it makes it impossible for me to stream from it anymore. So it's driving me nuts. And like I sold my original iArcade for like I think like $300 just to make room. It's killing me now. I didn't keep it because I would have just left it up here in the room so I could still stream from it because there's lots of games. Like I'd probably be streaming Moon Patrol tomorrow night being like, this game is dope. Let's all play Moon Patrol. But now I
Yeah,
can't
that is
because the
spite
gold
hold
is
on.
screwed up.
So if it's an issue with the new machine but not with the old machine, why do you think it's software? What if that's a hardware issue?
Well, that's I've asked iArcade a bunch of times about it. I've talked to Michael, and they're like, it's a deep rooted issue with the way that it's done. And they just can't seem to fix it. And then you talk to like these iArcade fans, like I talked to Papa Brad and P Dubs about it, and they're like, "Oh, it's not a big deal. You just got to go through all these hoops and then resize your video when you're making." And I was like, "No, it's not how it should work. I should be able to stream directly from my iArcade." So I'm telling you right now, I hate it. I hate the gold for that reason. I can't stream from it anymore.
That's not good. I didn't realize that was an issue with the new iArcade. That's like really not good.
No, not at all.
I don't know. It's very. I don't think there's a ton of people using that feature.
that are using that feature. Yeah.
Unless you're going to play Donut Dodo online and do a massive.
Here's my guess. It's So I was thinking about what you're saying. The Switch, I think in the hardware, right? It's like kind of like a mirror mode. I don't know if that's the exact term, but the idea is to say it's a PC, or it's an Android. It's an ARM-based system. It has native LVDS out. It has native HDMI out, and you configure the hardware to do a single screen. It's drawing one time, but it's mirroring it to two displays. Right. Well, if you did that on the iArcade, what's going to happen? Well, the 19-inch screen is going to natively output the 1280 by 1024, the 5x4. And then there's no hardware to say this needs to go into a 16 by 9 container. It's going to be literally outputting it in 5x4. And then your capture card is all like, yeah, I don't play like that. I have no clue what 5x4 is. That's not a part of my spec. Yeah. But that did work with the original iArcade, correct?
Yeah.
Because everything I just said was, I remember it would output, I think in 720p, a 16 by 9 container, and it would throw the 5x4 image in the center of it and give you black bars.
Which is what it should do.
And maybe that chipset that they moved to doesn't support being able to do that. Which goes back to the Pro, the KI Pro. How are they going to deliver the signal?
It's another feature that's going to be tested by the community, unfortunately, or whoever has
that. They can't not at least verify that is functioning properly before. Oh, yeah, hold on.
Come on.
Who we're talking about here for a second.
It's going to come out as a feature like that will be highlighted in whoever's doing the KI Pro review. Like it has to be looked at as one of the differentiating features.
You've got guys like Justin Wong who have built a reputation in the community as like an expert of certain games. And he, as far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought he was like leading their QA department. Or he's somehow involved in QA. Is that the case?
Correct. He is leading the QA team-ish.
So what is a guy like that doing? Not properly QAing this stuff and like actually signing off? Because typically in any sort of engineering firm, you have a QA department. They have to sign off on stuff before it gets released. Like you need the top guy in QA to sign off on something before it goes out public, whether it's firmware or hardware. What's this guy doing signing off on stuff like this if he's not even testing it for all we know? Like,
let me ask you. I know, Ristalch, you know this answer, so I'm going to ask you like a lawyer. What would happen if he is signing off on it, but the product is still released? What happens in that scenario?
Well, I'm not sure where you're going. What happens to him as a person? I mean,
no, like
the company Arcade1Up, or what do you mean?
This is what I'm trying to say. No. I said it wrong.
Okay.
Let's say, not hypothetically, but happens a billion times at every software engineering firm. The QA department says, no, we do not sign off on it. And yet the product is released. Whose fault is that?
Okay, so it's clearly somebody else's fault, but and I've seen this in many places. This happens all the time where a QA department will say, no freaking way, this is not ready to go to the public. And somebody else trumps it and says, too bad, my money, my decision, it's going out the door.
And what they need Justin Wong to be able to do is, I snuck him the tattoo that says #it's playable. But is it playable? And then he says, okay, that's all we need from you. And then
go ahead, Mike. do you remember on The Simpsons, like when Bart ate the Jagged Metal Crustio, and like it showed like the Krusty brand seal of approval? Might be a different episode. I think it's actually the Camp Krusty episode, the Krusty brand seal of approval, and he goes up and touches the Krusty alarm clock, and he goes, "Ooh!" And they were like, "Oh, you better watch that. That gets pretty hot when it's plugged in." So, anyways, he's like, it's fine. All this other stuff is fine too. Maybe it's much like that. Justin Wong is more of just like a stamp, rubber stamp, to be like, hey, I'm a pro gamer. All this stuff is great. Who are you to question whether it's not great?
Yeah, but everyone does question whether or not it's great, and it does nothing but tarnish the guy's reputation. Like, I never really knew the guy, but like knowing what I see him involved in and signing off on, and like coming onto live streams and like being okay with, it's like, really, dude? Like, we're supposed to take your word for it? Like, I don't know.
Well, if you look at the chat, there are people that are part of that community. Like, I guess Rob now working probably at some level with Jay Wong to see what is being signed off. I actually had a side conversation with him at Evo at this bar about how much pressure he feels on the MBC2 cabinet with his reputation on the line. He says like it's like he told me he's worried about it, but he could only do so much. So I think what you were saying, Justin, probably makes sense, that he is aware and knows and has mentioned it, but the limitations of implementation on it is beyond what he can sign off on.
When I was on it was like a chat with him before a show started. We were talking about the issues. I was like, let's talk about those issues. And so I just unloaded everything I had heard, just as someone, like a person who reads all the Reddit and reads the Facebooks. I'm like, I know about this problem, this problem, this problem. I was basically like, do you know about this? He's like, got a ticket on it. Do you know about this? Wrote a ticket on it. Got this? Wrote a ticket on it. There was nothing that I knew from the community that he hadn't, as a QA person, wrote a ticket on it. And that's how it works when you're in QA. They're probably using Jira, right? So you write a Jira ticket, and then it goes to the dev team, and the dev team is supposed to check it out and go put it in progress and write the code, put the fix, get the build out there, and give it back to QA. And then QA signs off on the ticket saying the developer did fix the bug. But I don't think he's signing off on it because the developer, you know what I mean? It's like they have a load of tickets that the development team is only so big. And I think the development team is not there in the company. He works for Tastemakers, but the development team is some third-party integrator. So, anytime there's like, you're not on the team, and it's not even probably a contractor, it's a separate company, right?
Yeah. His rep is taking a little bit of a hit. I've watched some of the streams, and all the time there's always at least one person that calls him like a scam artist and saying he stole my money. Like, why is that NBC2 on in the back? Like, and he just ignores it. So I'm sure he's used to it with his streams. But he has taken a bit.
Did they come on there too and they're like, "Do you know Tommy Tellerico? It's all a scam."
It's a scam. You're a scam artist.
So, very, very quickly, I just gotta mention something. I'm looking in the background there, Nostalgia. Your very arcade At Games Legends Ultimate list tonight. Where is it? That's your 1.0 is gone.
1.0 is gone.
Making room for the 1.1?
I got it. Yeah. I don't have a ton of space. I got to make some room. So I sold it.
Yeah, I know what that's like. It sucks, man. Like I talked about being an oak earlier, about not buying Yoga Flame and not buying Blitz with the Black Friday sales. And it's all a sham. I'm a sham person. I'm not a real oak. The only reason I haven't bought them is I got nowhere for them to go, and I don't want to get rid of anything else. So that's the reason I haven't bought them. So I get it.
Going back to the topic at hand, we're now at a point where we've learned this, we've seen it, we've observed it with QA, and there's bugs. I don't personally own a Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but like you just mentioned that they need more time, a lot of testing of the new MVC2 cab. There's a ton of issues, specifically lag issues. And what we learned tonight, if you're just joining us and didn't catch us earlier, they did release a firmware update for the Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabs, specifically for the lag. And here it is. This is the version update, and it's supposed to be targeting, and they're working with experts in the community that have discovered solutions to reduce the lag and give them credit. And with the release notes, this is pretty cool that they're doing this. And what's funny is I had heard that, and we had heard that, they said that on the stream, right? we're going to do the lag fix first, and then we'll leverage that as like, like now we have a baseline of good lag, and then optimize the online, work out all the bugs and the kinks, and then release a fix for that after that. And that's how I would do it. As a software engineer, you kind of want to take it like you have milestones. You want to build a list of tickets that are like an epic of tickets. You have many subtasks for you to do, and you have a single goal, and the goal is stabilize the platform. If you're going to add new features on a platform that's not stable, it is dumb to get some developers over here. Start working on that new feature. What are you talking about? These 3 developers over here are going to re-optimize the entire platform and touch a whole bunch of code that's going to conflict with that guy over there. Have fun merging that code. So it's like, no, everyone swarm on stabilizing that platform. Get it stable. Rosalgia knows this because he said it every day at Games, right? When he worked there. And then
So
and
both of you are developers that like know more about how hardware limitations could also impact performance for things. Dmod is just also giving us some more insight. It sounds like that, MBC2 is probably the most powerful chip that they have, but there's still performance issues based on kind of what they're rolling out. How do you think, how late in the cycle can you test if you have the right hardware? And like, what if it can never run at what they want it to based on what they have? It's already out in the field. It's already out in the wild, right? Like,
Yeah, but
hardware wise,
yeah, because if we're limited on based on what's there and it's a hardware issue, is there any solutions then? Do you
no,
just
there's
roll
not.
back?
They have
No
to re-release a new PCB.
Yeah, if
same
it's
thing Toy Shock did.
if it's truly a hardware issue, you can't fix it because you'd have to replace hardware. I'm not convinced that it is hardware.
This is interesting what Demod's saying. They initially tried to get MVC2 working on the MediaTek PCBs, had a build for it, was pretty far in before they had to switch to the rock chip for performance. From what I can tell, I might be reading into it too much, but from what I can tell, I wonder if he's disassembling some of those, getting into that Android base and kind of seeing what's going on, and he's seeing residue or evidence that there was some development against a completely different chipset. And I wonder if it's like they put all their efforts towards getting it compatible with that chipset, and then they had to turn course. That would explain why there's like a big, time lag for all
So
this.
a couple things here in the comments I want to just touch base on. She-Lion, the hardware is capable below clock speed. So Justin Wong had mentioned recently they actually tuned back the performance for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the current chipset they had to optimize the way it was playing. There's also a rumor going on that there was some overheating with that chips, and that's why they actually dialed back the performance, was to prevent the overheating. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Bobby ALU1 says, wonder if they'll release input lag fix for Big Blue. That's more of a question. Would they release an input lag fix for Yoga Flame or the upcoming Street Fighter Championship Edition Pro? That's the only way you'll get an input lag fix for Big Blue, is if they want to update one of those cabinets. I don't think they'll do it for older, no longer current sale cabinets going forward.
I would say the chances might be good, actually. Here's why. They're totally going to come out with another Street Fighter.
Several.
Right? And this next year's Street Fighter is likely going to have the same software as Big Blue. It's like the same build, but just a different game rotation. And then, if you can do this, inexpensive software fix, and if you can apply the learning you already have on a different firmware and just apply it to this one, maybe you could move more Street Fighters this next year, and then go, well, now you got to fix the other ones, which is a conversation we had before, is you have to fix the other ones if there's crossplay, because otherwise the new cabs will have an unfair advantage.
So I'm going to change the topic a little bit, because I do have some other things I wanted to get through. So this is going to be such an awkward question for everybody to answer, but I'm so excited about it. Over the last little while, I've been getting absolutely lambasted by people writing me, and they're like, "Aren't you mad?" I'm like, "About what? Like, in general, like, nostalgia pisses me off." But they're like, "No, but aren't you mad about what's going on with Arcade1Up? They're scam artists. They're this, they're that. They promised online for these last two cabs. Aren't you mad about it? Aren't you angry?" And I'm like, I don't care. I got my Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on sale, and I knew there was online issues. I more got it for a legacy cab. I hope, and I'm under the understanding eventually online will work. And I started asking people, and I asked like our Canadian Facebook group, and I'm like, is the online issues, the 2 online issues, really enough for this massive turnover where all these fans all of a sudden hate Arcade1Up? And it's an interesting theory. Do you think it's just those 2 issues, or do you think that this has been coming for a while, that it's the small things Arcade1Up have maybe not been doing right, that this was the boiling point, these 2 cabs not going online and really pushing a lot of fans in that direction? So I know you guys have been feeling pressure too. We're all channels that cover Arcade1Up heavily. So I'm guessing you guys are getting the same kind of statements said to you that I'm getting on a regular basis.
Especially nostalgia.
No,
Yeah.
I literally have not had anybody reach out to me about anything Arcade1Up ever.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Don't you have
I
somebody
also
that just buys all your
Zero
cabs
people
anyway?
have made a comment on my channel related to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Pardon?
0 people have made a comment on any of my videos related to what you're talking about. No one's asked me, "Aren't you mad?"
Really?
You said this in a chat.
Most people
a week
ask,
ago.
"Aren't
I
you
was like,
glad?" So
Nobody.
So you've got no feedback, anything like that about, and have you commented on, are you disappointed about the online stuff?
No.
I have.
I know you have, so I'm just interested to see what your guys' take is.
So here's the thing. I think I've talked about it a little bit on my channel, but I didn't buy the cabs.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
I could make up a story and be like, I'm so mad for you because you are not able to, but I'm not personally like, sure,
Yeah, I know.
I could be
Yeah,
like, it's
makes sense.
unfair that Arcade1Up is doing this to other people, but I didn't buy those cabinets.
Yeah,
What
I
we-
appreciate
Sorry,
that.
B, what we just learned is that Justin lacks something important called empathy, which
Dude, in the
just like
chat
many
that we're all looking
psychopaths
at that no one knows what we're
lack
talking about, I
empathy.
have a ton of empathy about what's going on right now in this side channel chat. I have empathy. It's just I don't know how to make content that's just this is what I don't like
Yeah.
doing. I do not like making content that says, let me prove to you that I have empathy. Let me prove to you that I understand. Let me sit here and talk about how I have all this experience and you should like respect me because I fully understand how this all works. It's the dumbest content. Like I literally just want to talk about interesting things, not about myself. And just for a moment, I broke that rule, like, because I'm talking about myself right now. But really, I'm like, here's something that interests me. And there's so many content creators that are always say, why don't you talk about things that interest you? I'm like, I am. You're not interested in the topics that I'm talking about. And so if you want to, does that make sense? You know, and it's
No.
like,
Yeah,
No,
I hear
explain
you.
it again. Just use completely different
but
words
people
this
keep
time.
on arguing that it's like, you should talk about these other things. I'm like, didn't you just say
That's
a
not
minute
how
ago that I
YouTube
should
works,
always talk
Justin.
about the things that I'm interested in?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm going back to. So when people are saying, "Aren't you mad?" It's more so people are like, "Why aren't you talking about this?" And I've said it before. Like, I wasn't super interested in Blitz or Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I said I'm not going to buy Marvel vs. Capcom 2 because I don't think I'm going to be able to get it on sale since it's limited quantities. But then there was this freak sale, so I was like, perfect. I get my Marvel Legacy cab now with all the games on it instead of just having what I had on X-Men versus Street Fighter. So I said, now that I have it, I can join the ranks of the people saying, when's my friggin' online going to work? But
Yeah.
when you don't have the cabinets and you don't have any intention to buy them, you don't have the same empathy. And I don't understand how people that had no intention of buying the cabs in the first place are so upset about those 2 things. So that's why I asked the question. Why is everybody turned on Arcade1Up now because of these 2 online issues? And the feedback I keep getting is that this has just been a boiling point. There's a lot of things that have been going on for a while, and this is just the point where people are like, too much, line in the sand, I'm upset.
I think it has to also do a lot about the way Arcade1Up, like they go through waves of communication cycles, and we were at throughout the summer, a really very much like high point of high communication, in touch. We're, you know, part of the quote unquote Illuminati, having more access than we ever had. And,
Yeah.
you know, as the cabs released that had issues, I think there was a deflation of the balloon of like this heightened, like, hey, we're doing all this community stuff. I'll say it quickly. I joined UAG stream the other day,
Mhm.
and afterwards we quickly kind of said each other, we're looking at each other, it's like kind of losing a little bit of the passion for covering the topic because you're getting tired of some of that stuff. And as a content creator, you kind of go through those waves too, where
Sure.
there was a big high for us getting together, like September in Chicago, like it all peaked there. And then it just started to slowly deflate, and you have to continue making content. I love Justin's attitude about still wanting to talk about what you want, that you're passionate about, because people will watch you because of that. But and I think the people are angry about, you know, the hundreds of thousands or like thousands of people that bought stuff, that things, it's like they want a voice too for somebody that also
Sure.
is addressing it somehow. So I think there's that balance as a content creators that cover this space. How do we acknowledge, while, you know, being genuine, to Justin's point, give good feedback to the company like we have been, or feel like we have been, even in this space here. And that's what I've tried to do recently too. Like, just, you know, really say as transparently as Justin does, this is what happened. I went to a cabinet and it was completely fried because, you know, whatever XYZ. And, you know, this is what I saw at this Arcade1Up place. And I think that's all we can do.
But here's the thing, like, if you want to know how I feel about it, there's empathy, you know, towards the people that bought it. That exists, you know, that sucks. But for me, I'm like, do not screw up hardware issues because you can't fix them.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing if they yield, but think about it. Like, it's almost like I feel like I have to remind people how hateful I was to Arcade1Up. I don't want to remind people to prove that I'm genuine. But here's the thing. What am I passionate about? I love the fact that the Arcade1Up cabinets are 4x3. Everyone calls me out for it. It's like, you're a nerd. You're talking about aspect ratio. That's what I'm passionate about. 960p is a really cool resolution to play these cabinets at, right? And the fact that they do it native out, that's what I'm passionate about. And when they came out with the TN monitor, I was like, that's a hardware problem. They have to fix this. The next cab, I will not buy any more cabs if it's a TN monitor. The Ridge Racer that I bought, I was like, one of the things, oh, that is a PoE. It's $299. I don't have a cab like that. Okay, I'm gonna buy it, right? And the reason why I'm not really upset about the online is it's like, it's software. If everyone keeps on complaining like they are, they're gonna fix it, right? Because it's not a hardware issue, it's a software issue. And this is just like, we don't know when the firmware is gonna come out. So I'd like to make content that's like, this is what is happening. The deal is available right now. It's facts, you know? And we can speculate about what cabinets are coming out next year because that's fun. But speculating about when a firmware update's going to come out, it's not interesting.
Yeah.
So I want to bring this up. P-Dubs Arcade Loft. You guys know we didn't do Super Game Room dudes tonight. P-Dubs is going through a really hard time right now. He's got like the worst flu of his life. It's the super flu from the stand. He basically has Captain Trips. So everybody send well wishes out to P-Dubs. Hope that he's feeling better and he's up and active again. P-Dubs makes a comment here that I think maybe he's reading this a little bit wrong in what we're saying, and I just want to be clear about this. There's nothing wrong with paying consumers demanding Arcade1Up be accountable for what products they release, especially at 500, 800 now. No one is disagreeing with that. We all want Arcade1Up to be accountable. We all want better products. It's just hard for us to be upset about Blitz when we have no intention to buy Blitz. We don't really care. And it's fascinating to me, the people that are angry, we're never going to buy Blitz in the first place. So I question whether or not some of this stuff is just blown out of proportion by people trying to make an issue of it for attention.
Maybe. I mean, it's not 100%. There's probably some people that bought the Blitz. They're like, what the hell? Where's the online play?
Exactly.
And they're
I
really
agree
upset.
with that. Yeah.
And they may not even know that Blitz might be coming or when it's coming. That sucks. All they know is the cab tells them to warm up and get better at the game because online's coming soon. And they're like, okay, is that going to come before Thanksgiving? Is it going to come before Christmas? They don't know. That sucks. Sure. But I don't think it's never going to come. Like, who thinks it's never coming? Is there actually some people that think like there will never be
a ton of
online
people out
for-
there. There's a ton of people out there that think that they can't get it working and it's not going to happen.
Well,
It's
I
the
just
most
don't think that's
fascinating
gonna happen.
thing.
If that happens,
I'm
I
like,
would be really pissed.
yeah, at that point, I all the things people are saying now, I agree with. You know, if we're 6 months down from the line and Arcade1Up just stops talking about this, stops communicating, and it looks like online's not going to happen, yeah, that's when all these conversations people are
Pitchforks.
having now, day one, the pitchforks do come out. That's when you start talking class action lawsuit and stuff, but not now. I mean,
Well,
You should go buy a Blitz cab so that you can take part of that
I
class
don't
action
care.
lawsuit. Because if you didn't buy one, then you can't be a part of it.
No.
I guess if we take a snapshot of where we are today with NFL Blitz and we look at the Attack from Mars cabinet, there was whitewater on that cabinet and you couldn't play it. It just was horrible. You could not play it. And Arcade1Up said, we're working on a fix. How long did it take him to put that fix out? It was like 3 months, right?
3-4 months, yeah.
3 or 4 months. We're not there yet. From my, and I was really, really hard on that cabinet. Really hard. If you watch my video, the Attack from Mars pinball cabinet, I was pretty aggressively hard on that cabinet. But they, and I even said in the video, I doubt that they're going to fix this. I don't believe that they're going to fix it. But they did. It took them 4 months. That's a long time to do a bug fix, but they still got it out. And from my perspective, just like you, Justin, I think I would be pissed if they didn't fix it or if they didn't release something.
Hold on.
But like, I'm very familiar with the software side of things, and I just sometimes shit happens. And
I'm just going to star a comment for later. How about that?
Yeah, just really quickly, I wanted to bring up Detroit Love. You were sent a link. You weren't not omitted. You were actually sent a link to come join the video. So feel free to join.
This is the one. Yeah. So here's the question. And I've seen this, and I think there's enough information to read between the lines on it. Where would it be acceptable if Blitz Online, they had it tomorrow, but they clocked it down to 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second? I think this is based on John D's misinformation, clearly being 100% ignorant. He's a VP that reads emails from the development team. Dude, I've talked to this guy. He's not a tech person. Maybe he sounds like one for a minute, but it's like he struggles to get online to some of the streams, right? Where like you got to type in your name right. Like he's not like, maybe he can do some stuff in Excel. Maybe he's got a little bit of Photoshop skills. But understanding how hardware works, that's not his specialty. The point is, he 100% did not know what he was talking about. And so he was trying to say on one of the streams that you guys don't understand how challenging this is. These games were not meant to be able to play online. And he said some other things that just didn't make sense to anyone logically understanding any bit of computer science at any level. Would be like, so you're saying that the hardware is crap. You're saying that it's really difficult. And so the offer is, well, could there be a trade-off, like 30 frames per second instead of 60 frames per second? But that's based on just incorrect data. It's just developers they have a list of work to do. It's like saying, it's like this. I'm going to build a house. It's not complete yet, right? The drywall's not on. We haven't painted all the rooms. And so it's just not complete yet. And then someone's like, well, maybe, they're trying to make compromises because they want to move in soon. It's like, no, you can't move in soon yet because we haven't even had someone to come in and say that the house is ready to be livable yet because we're still putting drywall up. It's a brand new house being built. And that's a messed up thing that they're not communicating, that they built the cabinet up to a point, but then the online wasn't complete yet. It's just, so I don't think there's a hardware issue. They just need to write more code.
Yeah, the problem with that is it's just anytime a company representative speaks about something, like one of the things David McIntosh is very good about is giving non-answers, right? And John is very community minded. He wants to be out there. He wants to tell people what's going on. And if he gives something, you're immediately going to take it as fact and people are going to run with it. I mean, when I heard him talking about it, me and you were on that stream with him and he said that, and like I was dumbfounded, and like people gave us a hard time that we didn't hit him with the tough answers. I was just dumbfounded by what he was saying. I wasn't trying to protect him. I was just like, that's not good, John. What is he talking about? I didn't know how to respond. But like
Yeah, it
everything
was
we
a
said
show about
afterwards, we were like,
Mhm.
Jesus Christ, like, what did he mean by that? But it wasn't even about Blitz. So it was a
It wasn't.
comment he just made that was like a non sequitur, I think they call it. And we were just like, what?
It was CMOT the Centatena that actually
Yeah.
asked the question in chat, is it coming? And it just spiraled. It spiraled, it
Yeah.
spiraled. But did you know what happened this past Tuesday? So you guys know what happened this past Tuesday?
No.
Show what I just threw up right there.
Just really quickly, I had a super chat here from Console Fanboy. I think they'll never get online and then re-release the cab out online for $4.99. Thank you for the super chat. They won't do that.
It'd be
It's
it'd be
funny, though.
ridiculously funny and infuriating if they did do that, though.
All right, so this past Tuesday was the official date on the original GameFly leaks. If you throw it up there, 11/15 was the NFL Blitz release date on the GameFly leaks, and people were saying, "Give them time because this was supposed to be their date to have online ready by." Even though Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was created for October, like this was like this magical date. Even in my mind, was like, if this was their original timeline for a leak, maybe we give them up to this point to see if it's out yet. And I think the latest post I saw in a Facebook group was like, the latest version is that we still have plans to have Blitz online by the end of the month. So their timeline is getting much, much shorter to, I guess, be in this November release timeframe. But I thought it was just interesting that, you know, everything on this list has come true to some fruition except for Time Crisis. But yeah, their time has been up from the original Gamefly leaks that was our guiding North Star for an entire year.
Yeah. The other mistake I heard that he made was he said, we'll give you an update in 2 weeks.
Yes.
And what came out was there'll be an update in 2 weeks. Like there'll be a patch in 2 weeks. It'll all be fixed in 2 weeks. But what he was meaning to say, what I heard was, we'll talk more about it. We'll give the community more information about it in 2 weeks. And then he got a muzzle put on him because of everything he said in that stream caused it so he couldn't speak to the community. And so he was able, he was then in a position where he's like, well, I really want to tell people what's going on now because we'll do another stream, because there were plans for him to like go to other streams and talk on those streams. But because he said all the wrong things on a certain stream, they're like,
killed it.
Zip it.
So it's all B's fault. That's what
It
you're
is.
saying.
That'll be his last appearance for a good while now. I want to wipe. I hope he does come back and he's comfortable with it, but it's just, I'm pretty sure he's very, very cautious now.
All right. So Nostalgia's going to leave in 5 minutes. And you know what? We haven't talked about everything I wanted to talk about. So there was another thing I put up in our thumbnail. There's actually a thumbnail. I don't know if you guys went back and
Did
saw
you
it.
patch it with a thumbnail?
Oh yeah. There's a
The
thumbnail.
stream
up.
I
It's-
created, you
Yeah,
added a thumbnail too?
I added a thumbnail. So, and it's majestic too, by the way.
I gotta
so,
look at it.
Yeah. So, anyways, one of the big things I wanted to talk about, and I don't know if you guys covered this before I could jump on, was New Wave Toys finally announced their pre-sale for their Space Invaders cabinet this weekend. And it looks incredible. There's lots of cool options, but holy shit, that price point. And that's what I want to talk about here now. Like, I mean, how much are you willing to pay for Death Shift? That's where we're to, for something like this, the quarter arcades. Like
$1,000 bucks.
What?
$1,000.
I know that's how much they're charging.
That's
So-
how much it is?
Yeah, this new Space Invaders cab is apparently $300 US
Oh,
at
300.
the base level, and then if you want to get the deluxe package, the whole thing is there's our you know,
You put the Ultra Game Room Dudes logo on it.
I saw someone in the chat doing it. I don't know what that's about.
Have you caught up on the chat?
Not the full chat now.
During the stream, have you caught up on the chat? Let's just say someone left the group.
Oh, did they really?
Yes.
What happened?
Someone's pretty upset.
Really?
And it's all nostalgia's fault.
It's all down. And look at him. He's like in love with this. This is his moment.
It's just it. I'm not going to comment on it. I'm just.
Hey, but it comes with a stool.
It does. It does. Yep. Good. Thank you for repositioning us. It does. It's not. It's Is it a real stool?
A 1/4 scale stool.
Yeah.
Wow, so cool.
Stools.
Yeah,
I think these look cool, but $300 just for the base machine is absurd.
$300 US, and then you got to think about everything else that goes into getting it here in Canada. So we are looking at a $449 Canadian, I think, quarter arcade. And I know they were going to switch to plastic to save costs, and people are like, no, stick with wood. But I think what people were trying to say was stick with wood, but still keep charging the same prices.
Yeah.
I can't even, like, the price point on that is just crazy. It's crazy high. Does anybody think that that's a reasonable price for any reason?
I
The
don't.
stool,
I
man,
have
it's
never
that
owned
extra
one of these.
value. Go ahead.
My thought is, does it change the value of their previous models to like?
I looked
Is
on
it-
Amazon recently. They're all still around 150, 160 for their older models. So this is double that
Yeah.
price.
So
But
it's
is
double,
this-
and they're just the only difference is now you get a stool.
No. I think this package that you're looking at is a $700 package, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it?
It's
Yeah, this is like the
$700.
limited edition signed.
the
It's like
limited-
$700 for everything in the picture.
Yeah.
Oh, for the red one, the regular one is 300.
With the stool and everything.
There's a standard one that's the standard colored one that is just $300.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
so-
space. Yeah, but that's just the machine, not with a stool, right?
No, it comes with
Or-
a stool.
So you're paying $400 for the signature
Yeah.
and the
Well,
color
and the
red.
and the color. Because the one that I have on Just Geek right now shows
Yeah,
the original
that's
one.
part two.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
See,
regardless of what it is.
if you're gonna
It's
double
hard
the,
cool.
insane.
if you're gonna double the price, the rules are call it limited edition and say there's only 500 available.
That's right.
It's the coin edition. Yeah, I don't know. That's insane. This is when I
Yeah.
was like, actually, like this would have been one that I would have picked up, but for $300, even for the like the standard blue, there's not a goddamn chance.
Are you
I'm
part of
paying
the
that for
numbskull
those.
internal program?
What's that?
Are you part of Numbskull's like influencer program?
Not. I've never gotten anything from them, but
think it-
I've emailed somebody who's involved in
who's
influencer
the
marketing.
There's a dude that's behind it, isn't it? John Riggs.
Yeah. So I did get a.
I don't think he
Miss
is
Pac-
anymore.
Oh, okay.
So just cut me off, nostalgia. Whatever you got to do. I
Sorry,
know you got to
sorry,
leave
sorry.
in a couple minutes. You get your stuff
Just
out there.
correcting.
Get your gimmicks in.
Go ahead, May.
No, he hooked me up one time and set me up with Numbskull, and they sent me a Miss Pac-Man, but that was like the only connection I've ever had with Numbskull.
Is the Space Invaders larger?
No,
It's the same size as all their other machines.
With a scale.
Same scale, I should say.
Okay. Yeah, man, double the price. I mean, they basically said like we're going to move to plastic to keep the cost down, and they're like, because wood's more expensive, and then people are like, no, stay with wood, and they're like, fine, well, here's the price. Is it all just cost has actually gone up that much?
No.
Okay.
No way.
You think
There's no
they're,
way.
they're trying to get some
Yeah,
get some profit here?
Even if you wanted to argue that the cost of the material has increased, the cost of the wood has not increased to the point where they would literally have to charge an extra $150.
But there's
for
a
the same
mirror
product.
screen for a ghost pepper effect.
which
based
is
on-
really cool, but
For $150. Wait,
Yeah.
maybe they're doing a price anchor where they're like, "Oh, it's $300. No one buys it." The truth is they just can't release it anytime soon. That's the truth. And then there'll be some Black Friday deals, $150. People are like, "That's a deal. Let's get it. It was normally $300." Maybe.
Oh, the Just Geek exclusive has this tool. That's why I was looking at. That's the website that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
So, got it.
I don't know, man. When I saw the price point on this, like when I saw it, I was like, that is so cool. They're doing such a good job with this. Like, good job, Numbskull. Like, you're killing it. And then I saw the price point and I was like, holy shit. Like I was like, I don't know if they're gonna sell these. Like I just can't imagine like $300 and especially these like you're getting to the point where you can almost buy an Arcade1Up cabinet, something that's a little bit more might not
That?
be as accurate.
You
Yeah,
can.
exactly.
You can buy an Arcade1Up cabinet.
Yeah.
What
And
would you rather have, a Ridge Racer?
But arguably, you can actually comfortably somewhat play an Arcade1Up cabinet. You're not just buying it as a decoration. This is essentially something you're going to play, but mainly it's a decoration.
But I think there's some people that they buy these. They're collectors, right? They want to collect them all, and they got this. You know, you're not going to run out of space with Numbskull, right?
No.
Like, you always have like a couple shelves you can throw them on. And I wonder if there's some people that have many of them. They have 10 of them, 5 to 10 of them, and naturally they got a new one that's $300. And if they're old school and love Space Invaders, I mean, it's a replica. I don't know. I'd love to hear what B has to say. Like, you like to buy a lot of toys. I mean that like as an actual.
It kind of depends on the value of the toy at that price point. Knowing that there was a precedent for a half price model, you kind of have to think about when a new toy comes out, like does it warrant a 100% price increase? And based on the stool and the design, the Pepper's Ghost effect. Sorry, I don't have any of the numbskulls. I got my first Qbert, was my very first miniature 1/6 scale New Wave replica, and I really like that cabinet and toy that I got. I think it was like 125. So I felt like that was a really good sweet spot for these types of scales. I know it's a little bit bigger, so I like the 150, 175 price point for the 1/4 scale one. I don't like mixing scales, so now that I have one of the New Wave ones, I'm like, I can't get the 1/4 ones because now they won't be the right size machines. So I also very much care about scales too, keeping them in the same stuff. So it's a weird, like, they're like the direct competitors to each other, right? Numbskull or New Wave. Like, you're either one or the other, not both. So it's kind of weird in terms of the lineup that they got too.
So which one's better? Which one should I get?
I like the lineup on New Wave better, personally.
I really like the quarter arcades. I think they're really nice. New Wave, I'm excited about. I just got my first one, my Missile Command. The one thing to watch out for with New Wave, I haven't seen it yet, but New Wave have just started implementing this glass. It's almost like a microscope screen over it to create the CRT effect that people aren't very happy with, and it looks to be the new go forward, which might actually hurt the value of the product. Because
So
if this,
in layman's term, they got their version of a TN monitor then?
essentially, it's this glass screen that you can't take
playable,
off.
Michael B.
Yeah.
It's playable.
Yeah.
Does it have bad viewing angles from the side?
No, it's just really weird. Like, I think people would have been happy. People were happy with just the regular LCD monitor that were on there. This trying to create a CRT with this weird screen over it, it doesn't do the effect they think it does.
Which one uses the correct aspect ratio? Do they all?
I don't know. I think they all do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they
They're
all
all
do.
pretty good.
Cool.
All right, we have a super chat, and then I think it's time to pull the plug.
Shameless pull the plug. Shameless plug. New Stringer Films epic masterpiece this Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Retro Ralph YouTube channel. Be there. Check it out.
I saw like a teaser of it when I was chatting with Stringer Films. It's pretty good.
What's it about?
Oh, arcades.
I didn't know they covered that stuff. Thank you very much, Stringer Films. Appreciate it. All right. So anyways, guys, I guess we'll call it there. Thank you very much for this impromptu foolishness that we got on with tonight. I would have liked a heads up that we were starting so I could, continue to get everything ready and get the stream set up properly. But it was funnier that when I went to log in, I realized you were live and then had to panic and get ready. So
we thought you actually fell asleep because you
No,
said
I-
1 minute and then like 10 minutes passed. And
No,
so
no,
your
no,
1
no.
minute
It was
was,
like an
a
hour.
very long 1 minute.
I was making that thumbnail. Like, you can't make that in 5 minutes. I had
I
to make a
thought
new
we were
logo.
going to go live at the same time as Super Game Room Dudes normally goes live at.
I was trying
Because
to
you were
make my
30
wife not
minutes
hate me.
beforehand. You're like, give me a minute, I'll make a live stream. And I'm like, that takes 2 seconds.
No, not when you got to make an awesome thumbnail with a brand new
You
logo.
could do a thumbnail afterwards. It doesn't make
No.
a difference.
Nobody does. Everybody can't do the Justin Console Kits thing where you just go live and you have your
You just go
beautiful
live
background.
and do the thumbnail afterwards. Dude, the people that join in the live stream are going to join anyway.
19K Fox knows. It's Canadian minute.
It was a long. We were legit worried. We're like, and you fell asleep.
You make the thumbnail to advertise for the replay, man.
All right, let's call it a night. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. Hopefully, we'll be back with Super Game Room Dudes next week. Thank you very much, B Console Kits, and my hetero life partner, Nostalgia. Let's have a good night, everybody.
I think this is the part where you do the hold on.